Motivation fades, but you do not have to. That is the truth most people need to hear when life gets heavy and the first rush of excitement disappears. It is easy to move when the music is loud, when the goal feels shiny, when the future looks close, and when everything inside you feels wide awake. It is harder when the room is quiet, the result is slow, the body is tired, and the mind starts asking whether all this effort is worth it. That is where character begins. Not in the burst, in the return, not in the perfect mood, in the decision to keep moving when the mood is gone. If you have been waiting for a steady feeling to carry you, you may be waiting for something that never stays long enough to build a life. Motivation is real, but it is temporary. It rises and falls. It can start a fire, but it cannot keep it burning forever. What keeps the fire alive is structure, discipline, patience, self-respect, and a mind that understands purpose. You are not built for comfort. You are built for growth. And growth always asks for something more than convenience. It asks for repetition. It asks for honesty. It asks for effort that does not disappear when the first wave of doubt arrives. Some days you will feel sharp. Some days you will feel flat. Some days you will want to do everything. Some days you will want to do nothing. Your future cannot depend on the mood of the day. If it does, the day will keep deciding your direction. You must become the kind of person who can act without needing perfect emotion as permission. That is the one shift that changes everything. When your feelings are high, use them. When your feelings are low, do not hand over the wheel. Build anyway. Move anyway. Learn anyway. Improve anyway. That is how a life becomes strong enough to carry success without breaking under it. Success is not just about reaching a destination. It is about becoming stable enough to stay there. Many people want the reward, but are not prepared for the responsibility. They want the money, but not the discipline to manage it. They want the attention, but not the maturity to protect their peace. They want the opportunity, but not the consistency to keep it. They want the life, but not the person that life requires. That is why many people get close and still lose it. They were chasing convenience while life was asking for construction. Convenience is easy to love because it promises comfort now. But comfort now can become regret later. It can turn into the quiet cost of missed chances, hidden talent, and delayed growth. The stronger choice is rarely the easier one. It is the one that says, I will not betray my future to please my present mood. I will not give my destiny away because I am tired today. I will not let one low moment define my whole year. This is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about being serious with yourself. Serious people understand that time is a resource, energy is a resource, and attention is a resource. They do not spend all three carelessly. They protect them. They invest them. They direct them. That is how progress happens. Not through accidental effort, but through deliberate living. If you have felt stuck, maybe you do not need more inspiration. Maybe you need more consistency. Maybe you do not need another strong speech. Maybe you need a stronger system. Maybe you do not need to become more excited. Maybe you need to become more reliable. Reliability is the quiet power that keeps a life from falling apart when motivation leaves the room. If you can be trusted by yourself, you become harder to stop. If you keep your word to yourself, your confidence begins to rise. If you finish what you start, your identity begins to change. If you stay the course, your future begins to open. And all of that begins with one honest decision. I will not live only by the feelings of the moment. I will build a life that can survive the days when feelings are weak. The people who build something lasting understand that success is a long conversation between effort and patience. Every good result is usually the final chapter of a story that was written one ordinary day at a time. The world sees the finished picture and assumes the journey must have been smooth. It rarely was. Behind the visible result there were quiet mornings, uncomfortable afternoons, repeated attempts, private doubts, and small choices that nobody applauded. That hidden work is where your future is really made. When you keep showing up without applause, you begin to separate your value from your visibility. That is important because visibility is unstable. Some seasons you are seen, some seasons you are ignored. Some days you are praised, some days you are overlooked. If your confidence depends on being seen, your peace will keep rising and falling with other people's attention. But if your confidence depends on your own effort, your peace becomes steadier. You know what you are doing. You know what you are building. You know what it has cost you. That knowledge matters. It keeps you grounded when life feels delayed. Delayed results are not proof of defeat. They are often proof that your life is being built more deeply than you thought. The root grows before the fruit. The discipline grows before the reward. The mind gets stronger before the outcome looks impressive. Many people want a shortcut because waiting feels uncomfortable. But shortcuts often skip the very process that would make the result last. If you want a life that can stand through pressure, you need the process. You need repetition. You need correction. You need seasons where nothing is dramatic, and yet everything is changing. That is the part most people do not celebrate enough. They want the breakthrough moment. They do not always respect the building phase. But the building phase is where your future becomes durable. It is where you learn how to keep going when the excitement is gone. It is where you learn how to carry your goals without turning them into fantasies. It is where your words become habits, and your habits become proof. If you are tired of starting over, then begin to take the building phase seriously. Finish smaller things. Wake up on time. Keep your promises. Write the plan. Follow the plan. Protect your focus. Reduce the noise. Keep the simple commitments that others ignore. These simple acts may look small, but they create a powerful message inside your own mind. They tell you that you are no longer a person who only means well. You are becoming a person who follows through. That change is deeper than motivation. Motivation is a spark. Follow through is a foundation. A spark can light the room for a moment. A foundation can hold the house for years. That is the difference. You do not need more random sparks. You need a stronger foundation. You need a life that can keep working even when your emotions are tired. That means setting your standards before the day begins, not after the day has already gone wrong. It means deciding what kind of person you are going to be before the pressure arrives. It means building the habit of returning to the path after every distraction. This is how strong lives are formed. Not through perfection, but through return. Not through fantasy, but through repetition. Not through convenience, but through commitment. One of the biggest reasons motivation fades is because people try to use it as a source instead of a signal. Motivation is useful when it points you towards something valuable. It is not useful when you make it the ruler of your life. A person who waits to feel motivated before acting will stay at the mercy of conditions. But a person who acts with purpose creates a new condition. The action changes the mood. The discipline changes the energy. The movement changes the mindset. That is why you should not be ashamed of starting tired. Tired does not mean incapable. Tired means human. You can be tired and still be serious. You can be tired and still complete the next step. You can be tired and still refuse to quit. A lot of people overestimate the importance of feeling good and underestimate the importance of showing up. But showing up is what teaches your brain that you are dependable. When you show up to the work, even on days that do not feel special, you are training resilience. You are telling yourself that your goals are more important than the temporary emotion of the moment. That does not make you robotic. It makes you responsible. Responsibility is one of the most underrated forms of freedom. It frees you from chaos. It frees you from regret. It frees you from the endless loop of wishful thinking. It says, I may not control everything, but I control enough to move forward. This matters because a life without responsibility becomes scattered. Scattered people waste energy trying to manage too many things while accomplishing very little. Responsible people narrow their focus. They know what matters. They know what can wait. They know what deserves their attention and what does not. That clarity gives them power. If you want to stay strong when motivation fades, stop making every day about emotion. Make it about structure. Decide your habits in advance. Decide when you will wake up. Decide what you will protect. Decide what you will not negotiate. Decide what a good day looks like before the day begins. Then, when the mood shifts, the structure carries you. This is what serious people do. They build systems that survive ordinary days. They do not depend on dramatic inspiration to make progress. They rely on rules, routines, and standards. That kind of living may not feel glamorous, but it is effective. And effective living is what changes your future. Many people think they need a massive transformation. Often they need a clean decision. Start smaller than your pride wants. Start more honestly than your fear prefers. Start with the thing you have been avoiding. Finish one task. Make one call. Clean one area. Study one chapter. Save one amount. Walk 1 mile. Show up for one session. The point is not the size of the step. The point is the direction of the step. A person moving in the right direction with consistency will outrun a person with huge intentions and no follow-through. That is how life works. Action compounds. Excuses also compound. One builds confidence, the other destroys it. Choose carefully. Every time you do, your future feels a little less distant and a little more yours. There is a hard truth that can also free you. The version of yourself that keeps losing motivation is not the final version of you. It is just the version that has been trained by repetition. That means it can be retrained. If your mind has learned to quit early, it can learn to continue. If your mind has learned to panic, it can learn to pause. If your mind has learned to doubt, it can learn to trust. You are not trapped in the habits you inherited, the fears you absorbed, or the patterns you repeated in weaker seasons. You can change your pattern, but change will ask for proof, not promises. Your mind wants evidence. It wants to see you behave differently more than once. It wants to know that your words and your actions are finally matching. So begin with small promises. Keep one, then another, then another. The small promise is where confidence starts to heal. When you say, "I will wake up at this time," and you do it, your mind notices. When you say, "I will complete this task," and you finish it, your mind notices. When you say, "I will not let this distraction steal my focus," and you hold the line, your mind notices. Those moments may look ordinary to others, but they are powerful inside you. They are the bricks of self-trust. And self-trust is one of the greatest assets you can build. Without it, every opportunity feels heavier than it should. With it, the same opportunity feels possible. This is why discipline is not punishment. It is healing. It repairs the relationship between your intentions and your behavior. It tells your mind that your life is not just a series of good ideas. It is a place where promises can be kept. That is a huge shift. A person who trusts themselves can move with more courage because they are not constantly questioning whether they will follow through. They already have proof. They already have a pattern. They already have a history of doing what they said. That history becomes a quiet source of confidence. You do not have to announce it. You feel it, and others feel it too. Confidence that is earned through discipline has a different quality. It is calm. It is steady. It does not need to shout to be real. That kind of confidence is especially important when life gets hard, because hard moments do not care about your mood. Hard moments ask what you have built. They ask whether your habits can support you. They ask whether your mind can stay steady under pressure. They ask whether your character can hold the weight of difficulty without collapsing into old behavior. If your life is built on discipline, the answer gets stronger over time. You may still feel pressure, but pressure does not have the final say. You may still feel tired, but tiredness does not become a permanent excuse. You may still feel fear, but fear does not become the commander. The more you practice showing up when it is inconvenient, the more you become the kind of person who can be counted on when it matters most. That is who success needs. Not a perfect person, a dependable one. Success also asks you to become comfortable with being in process. That phrase matters because many people think they must already be finished in order to begin. They want to look polished before they start. They want to feel certain before they move. They want to appear strong before they have actually built strength. But process is where strength is formed. Process is where mistakes become lessons. Process is where your standards sharpen. Process is where your patience deepens. A person who hates process will keep quitting at the exact point where growth begins. That is why so many dreams stay unfinished. People love outcomes but avoid the middle. They love the final picture but resist the seasons that create it. Yet the middle is where you learn the most. It teaches you humility because you are not in control of everything. It teaches you patience because the result is not immediate. It teaches you resilience because the path often takes longer than expected. If you can learn to love the process enough to stay in it, your life changes. You stop demanding perfect conditions. You stop needing everything to feel easy. You stop treating temporary discomfort as a warning sign. Instead, you treat discomfort as part of growth. That shift is enormous. It makes you harder to discourage because now you understand that difficulty is not always a threat. Sometimes it is the very thing that strengthens you. The process is where a new identity is built. Not by fantasy, by repetition, not by wishing, by working, not by temporary emotional peaks, by consistent practice. Every time you learn from a mistake instead of hiding from it, you grow. Every time you keep going after a setback, you grow. Every time you return to the task after distraction, you grow. This kind of growth may not feel dramatic. It may not be glamorous, but it is real, and real growth can support a real life. Another reason people lose motivation is that they compare the visible work of others to their hidden work. That comparison can make your own progress seem smaller than it is. But hidden work matters. In fact, hidden work often matters more than public work because it is where the foundation is formed. Nobody sees the moment when you decide not to give up. Nobody sees the private battle with distraction. Nobody sees the quiet effort after a disappointing day. But those moments are shaping you. They are teaching your nervous system that you can remain steady. They are teaching your mind that you can continue without applause. They are teaching your body that consistency is normal, that hidden training becomes visible later. One day people will notice your calm, your clarity, your discipline, your results. They may not know exactly what changed, but you will know. You will know that the long season of ordinary effort was not wasted. It was building the strength that now shows in your life. So if you are in the hidden season, do not rush it. Learn from it. Use it. Let it make you steadier. That is how a strong future begins. One of the deepest lessons in life is that you cannot keep what you are not prepared to carry. Success can become a burden if the person receiving it has not been built for it. That is why building yourself before success is not a delay. It is preparation. It is wisdom. It is the work that makes the result sustainable. A person who becomes emotionally unstable will struggle to hold peace. A person who becomes careless with money will struggle to hold wealth. A person who becomes easily distracted will struggle to hold opportunity. A person who becomes inconsistent will struggle to hold momentum. The issue is not only getting the thing. The issue is keeping it. And keeping requires character. It requires habits. It requires emotional maturity. It requires a mind that can stay clear under pressure. If you want a better life, do not only ask for more. Ask to become more. Ask to become more reliable, more disciplined, more focused, more patient, more resilient, more honest, more grounded. That version of you will be able to hold what the current version may not be ready for. This is not meant to scare you. It is meant to empower you, because it means your future is not limited by your present state. You can grow into it. You can prepare for it. You can build the capacity that success needs. The question is whether you are willing to do the building before the arrival. That building often looks boring from the outside. It looks like early mornings, repeated routines, long study sessions, careful decisions, saved money, patient responses, and a lot of invisible effort. But boring is not the enemy. Chaos is. Boring discipline builds stability. And stability is what lets success stay. If you can become the kind of person who keeps promises, handles pressure, and learns quickly, you are far less likely to lose the opportunities you worked so hard to create. The world rewards visible success, but life rewards capacity. Capacity is the size of the person who can hold the result. Capacity is built before the result shows up. That is why the long season matters so much. It is where capacity grows. It is where you stop needing every day to feel inspiring. It is where you become useful even when you feel ordinary. It is where your reactions become more measured. It is where your words become more thoughtful. It is where your habits become more reliable. It is where your life starts to feel like it belongs to you. So do not resent the building stage. Honor it. Respect it. Protect it. It is training you for a future that wants to stay. And if you stay with the process, you will become the kind of person who can receive success without losing yourself inside it. There is also power in learning how to recover quickly. Nobody stays perfect. Nobody goes through life without missing a day, making a mistake, losing focus, or feeling discouraged. The difference is not whether the stumble happens. The difference is how long you stay down after it. A person with resilience does not turn a bad moment into a bad identity. They do not let a single slip become an excuse for a full collapse. They notice what happened, adjust, and return. That return is one of the strongest habits you can build. It teaches your mind that setbacks are not terminal. It teaches your heart that disappointment is survivable. It teaches your body that the path is still open. The ability to recover quickly keeps small problems from becoming life-defining ones. It keeps the weight of guilt from becoming too heavy. It keeps one off day from turning into a lost season. If you want success, train your recovery speed. The faster you can come back with honesty and direction, the more unstoppable you become. This does not mean rushing past lessons. It means refusing to drown in them. You can learn and still move. You can reflect and still restart. You can be honest about what went wrong without sitting in shame forever. In fact, shame is one of the biggest enemies of resilience because it tells you to hide instead of heal. But healing happens in motion. Healing happens when you return to the work with better awareness. Healing happens when you replace self-hatred with responsibility. That is how the strong keep getting stronger. They do not worship the mistake. They extract the lesson. They do not build a home in regret. They build a better routine. This is where emotional maturity becomes important too. Mature people understand that feelings are temporary, but habits have consequences. So they do not let temporary discomfort decide permanent direction. They respect the feeling, but they do not obey it blindly. That choice creates freedom. It gives you a way to move through hard seasons with dignity. And dignity matters because it keeps your sense of self intact while the world is testing you. The person who recovers well becomes very hard to defeat. They are not dramatic about every setback. They are not paralyzed by every disappointment. They know how to reset. That skill is priceless. It keeps the future alive. It protects momentum. It keeps your life from being defined by the worst moment in it. If you want to build a successful life, learn to fall without staying fallen. Learn to pause without disappearing. Learn to feel without collapsing. Learn to return. That may be one of the most important skills you ever develop. Another truth that matters deeply is that your environment shapes your emotions more than you may realize. The places you spend time, the people you hear from, the content you consume, the routines you repeat, all of it influences how you feel and how you act. If you constantly feed your mind with noise, negativity, comparison, or chaos, your emotions will have more to fight against. If your environment is careless, your progress will have to fight harder. That is why intentional living matters. You do not have to control everything, but you do need to guard what is under your care. This includes your mornings, your workspace, your phone habits, your conversations, and your boundaries. Every piece of the environment can either support your strength or drain it. A calm environment helps a calm mind. A focused environment helps focused work. A disciplined environment helps disciplined habits. That is not an accident. That is design. If you want less emotional chaos, start by reducing the things that create it. Not every input deserves access to you. Not every opinion needs to be absorbed. Not every conversation needs your emotional energy. Protecting your environment is not selfish. It is strategic. It helps your mind breathe. It gives your goals room to grow. It makes it easier to control emotions because you are not constantly being hit from every direction. Even small adjustments can make a major difference. Put the reminder in sight. Remove the distraction from reach. Create a morning that does not begin with chaos. Create a night that does not end in numbness. These choices are not trivial. They are support systems for your future. The same is true for the people around you. If certain relationships constantly pull you toward laziness, fear, or self-doubt, you may need stronger boundaries. That does not mean you hate people. It means you love your future enough to protect it. Strong people understand that not every influence is harmless. Some influences are like water to a seed. Others are like weeds. Be careful what you keep feeding. If your environment supports your strongest habits, your emotions will have an easier time staying balanced. You will still face hard moments, but the ground under you will be steadier. That steadiness matters. It reduces the number of emotional battles you have to fight all day. And when your emotional battles become fewer, your energy can go where it matters most. Into the work, into the growth, into the life you are trying to build. There is a special kind of strength in choosing progress over perfection. Perfection often delays. Progress moves. Perfection asks for a flawless beginning, a flawless middle, and a flawless outcome. Progress asks for honesty, learning, and forward motion. Perfection can keep you frozen because it makes every imperfection feel like failure. Progress understands that growth is messy. It understands that mistakes are part of learning. It understands that the path gets cleaner as you keep walking. If you have been waiting to feel perfectly ready, you may be waiting too long. Perfect readiness is a fantasy for most real-life goals. Real life asks for action under imperfect conditions. That means you begin with the tools you have, the knowledge you have, and the courage you have. You improve as you go. You do not need to be finished to be useful. You do not need to know everything to start learning. You do not need to look polished to make progress. The problem with perfection is that it can sound noble while silently killing momentum. It tells you to wait another week, another month, another season. But progress says begin now and refine later. That is how real change happens. One honest attempt, one correction, one adjustment, one better version, then another, then another. That rhythm transforms everything.